You seem uncomfortable. Do I make you nervous, Corky?
No.
Thirsty, maybe.
Curious, maybe.
That's funny. I'm feeling a little bit curious myself.
I had a nightmare and woke up in the middle of nowhere, totally alone. It was all shadows and blood and death. I'm scared, don't you see? Hold my pod. Tell me you love me. Caress me with your voice. Welcome to Pleasers.
And Punishers.
Where we talk about movies that people love to watch.
Movies that ruin your today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
And all things kinky and queer.
I'm Caitlin of the North.
And I'm May. Even our girls have cocks, Schultz.
And today we are discussing, when do you leave the Murder Bear sex show? Or are you going to stay for the next act? In Knife Plus Heart, or A Knife in the Heart, 2018, directed by Yann Gonzales, written by Yann Gonzales and Cristiano Mangione, and music by Anthony Gonzalez, a.k.a. M83, starring Vanessa Paradis as Anne and Nicholas Maury as Archie. I love him.
Oh, he's fantastic. And I feel like this movie is too important of a film for just the two of us to discuss. So let's welcome back our honorary third host, podcaster, artist, and my lovely friend, Kayte Terry.
Yay!
Hello.
Hi, Kate.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you for joining us again. I'm
Oh my
so
God.
excited to have you back. And
I'm so happy to be here for a real pleaser.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, and especially a movie that I know you like as opposed to your first appearance for
I
Saw.
love this movie. And I love Vanessa Paradis. I have loved her since I was like 12, like maybe even earlier, 11
Ooh.
years old.
What was the first thing you saw her in?
Well, she was just always in Vogue magazine.
That's true.
There you go.
Because she was a model and she had and a singer. She had a song called Je le Taxi.
Wait, that's her?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I never
I
put
know
that
it.
together.
Yep.
She's also Lily Rose Depp's mom.
She is.
Which,
Yep.
is why Lily Rose Depp looks the way she does, which is to
True.
say she's really, really gorgeous and interesting looking.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. Well, before we get into it too far, what's your porn name? Kate, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm just doing the standard first pet name plus street address. And I have a very classy name, Juliet Melrose.
Oh.
I feel like that would take you places. I
Yeah.
mean, that is a good
That's
porn name.
really
It's very
solid.
milfy, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Super milfy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you could pull off the MILF thing.
Yeah, I think I could. I think I'm a good is there a stepmom? Is that a smilf?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of step family porn out
Oh yeah.
there. So.
I think
Oh, so
I think
much.
stepmom is like really my key demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, Caitlin, how about you?
Helen Shivers.
Oh my God. Okay, so would you be doing just horror porn?
Oh, I love that. Yes. That's what I'm
Okay.
doing now.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
feel
like
like that
body
suits
horror.
you. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, I love that. So like the armpit dick in Rabid is actually used for fucking instead of killing.
Right.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, if I do the pet name and street name, it's Sammy Troy, which I feel like is good for gay porn, but does not apply to me as a trans girly. So I'm going to go with this silly name from one of my favorite Bob's Burgers episodes, Misty Gish.
Yes.
Yeah, it's close to gash, but like
I believe that's from The Kids Run the Restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it sounds like a porn name. It's not necessarily punny, but you could see a scene tagged on Pornhub with Misty Gish. And that would be me.
At least you're not girl number 2.
That's true. I also used to have a nude Twitter called Everson Ho, and I was really proud of that. That doesn't work as a porn name. That works as like a handle. So, well, speaking of handles, let's get into some role play.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?
Now, one of you will be the drowning victim, and the other one gets to be our lifesaver.
I'll be the victim. All your life.
Okay, we're going to tell you what happens in this movie. So if you haven't watched it, turn this off, go watch it. It's streaming on Shudder, and then come back because this movie is incredible. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot in this section for various episodes, but it's true. We open on a brief bit of gay porn being edited, then see one of the actors, Carl, dancing languidly in a club while a man in a leather mask watches and touches himself. Carl follows the masked man, and they begin to engage in kinky foreplay that unfortunately ends with a switchblade dildo being repeatedly plunged into his hole as the masked man whimpers and a white-eyed bird observes the crime. It's Paris, 1979, and we cut to producer-director Anne ringing Lois, the editor, from a payphone. The two have recently split, and Anne seems desperate to win her back. On set, Archie directs 3 boys getting it on as Anne shows up and books it upstairs to spy on Lois through a peephole before coming back down to criticize the threesome.
Not weird at all.
No.
Not creepy.
That tableau, though, of
it's amazing.
her eye in the center of that art print on the wall, fantastic.
Incredible.
So cool.
Archie drives Anne home as she dreams in negative of a bird, a burning barn, and a boy who resembles the mask of the killer. They stop at a construction site where Anne recruits a new actor, Nons, a fawn among wolves, who reminds her of Fowd, a former actor with whom they worked. And fun fact, this actor does play both Nons and Fowd. A flash of a dream showing a long-haired boy with his head in the lap of the curly-haired boy. Archie then gets a call from the police for Anne about the murder of Carl, and she goes in for an interview. Their new film, Homicidal, then recreates the scene with Archie playing Anne and getting it on with the cops. Side note, Thierry humping the fucking typewriter and like hitting the keys with his dick.
I cannot handle
so goddamn funny, but also kind of hot.
Oh, just the pounding. It's the pounding.
Yeah,
just
homicidal rules.
It really does. Fun fact, it's a bonus feature on the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray.
What?
Or I think it is. They've got some of the adult content on there, which is pretty cool. Anne and Thierry argue about money, and he uses his cash to buy heroin. After shooting up in an abandoned convertible, the killer appears, and it has Thierry perform fellatio on his dildo before unleashing the blade, killing him. Anne follows Lois to a queer club, and it observes her making out with her new lover. She vandalizes a portion of the film with scissors, carving "You have killed me" in French into its frames over Thierry's face, which Lois sees just before being informed of Thierry's death. The crew minus Lois go out for drinks and run into several trans women, one of whom, Missia, formerly known as Martine, used to work with them. Missia and her girls are a found family of sex workers, and it is so lovely to see something like this.
It is incredible. When they all roll up into that bar, it's just like they are there. They own it, the space.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. On set, a new dreamlike scene is filmed with Anne playing the part of the killer, and the film is a wrap. She visits a classy but sad lesbian bar where a macabre bit of musical theater is performed. On Sunday, the cast, crew, Missia, and her girls enjoy a picnic near the woods. Missia does an energy reading and encourages Anne to pay closer attention to her dreams. Lois joins them, and the blind bird lands on her shoulder.
I have to say that one of my other entry lines was, and we're discussing how I would way rather give birth to a bottle of vodka.
I love that part. It's so ridiculous. And it's such a thing a trans girl would do. So it feels very authentic. A storm suddenly breaks. Lois and Anne run off together and share a kiss, but Lois rejects her, despite loving her. The killer finds Missia among the trees, stabs her from behind, then kisses her as she dies. Anne sexually assaults Lois outside the club as the killer watches. Another flash of a dream where a man has cut off the genitals of the long-haired boy, and the curly-haired boy runs toward the barn doors, burning. Anne confronts the cops about yet another death, and the younger detective brings her a feather from the crime scene. She makes her giallo side quest to consult an expert, a bird-handed boy named Pierre, who informs her it belongs to a blind, white-eyed grackle, last seen in the 18th century in a forest where the dying were brought to have their souls carried away. Anne visits Shalad. How do you pronounce this word?
This one I don't know.
Anne visits the town that's the home of the blind birds. I am not going to try to pronounce it because I will fail. Shalad. Thank you. And finds a goodbye letter.
Shalad.
Shalad.
Anne visits Shalad, home of the blind birds, and finds a goodbye letter from Lois in her pocket. She's taken to the inn by a man whose daughter Kathy then brings her to the forest. Anne finds the grave of the long-haired boy, Guy Favre, who still speaks to his mother psychically. Kathy tells Anne the story of Guy and Hisham and the barn fire, but Guy's body was never found. Lois edits Homicidal and spots the killer in the background of the final sequence. She calls to warn Anne, but the power goes out. On the set of their new film, the killer shows up and dispatches Jose. Poor Jose.
Yeah.
He's like French Danny Trejo in porn, which is great.
In porn.
Lois appears and jumps in front of Anne, killed by the knife meant for her ex-lover. Anne goes to the Far West Theater to see Homicidal, as does Nons, who is captivated by the film, not noticing the killer sitting directly behind him. Anne imagines the reanimated corpses of her actors surrounding her, then awakens as Nons heads upstairs to the labyrinth of sex, followed by Guy. The theater shows a trailer for Spunk and the Land Alone, an old film of Anne's, which was based on her dreams of what happened to Guy and Hisham. Guy approaches Nons in the dark, mistaking him for Hisham. Anne appears to save Nons, and Guy takes a hostage down to the theater, who quickly escapes his grip. The theatergoers beat the shit out of him, before a young man picks up his knife, stabbing him in the gut and ending his reign of terror. The end credits play over a dream sequence where Anne and Lois kiss beside the filming of an orgy, but Lois fades, the music warps and distorts, the lights go out, and we're left knowing that it's a fantasy. And now I'm covered in goosebumps and trying not to cry. That's Knife plus Heart, which I hate as the English title because the French title directly translates to A Knife in the Heart, which is such a better title for this movie. Anyway, Kate, what's your relationship with this movie?
So I have seen this movie twice. Let's see, I watched it first probably 3 months ago, and then I watched it again a couple of days ago. And I love it so much.
Oh, I forgot your first viewing was so recent.
Yeah. I'm not really sure why I didn't watch it beforehand, but yeah, it passed me by. I love Giallo, and this is very much a neo Giallo in a much more like queered lens. I love how I just love the silliness that sometimes comes with Giallo, that it's like self-conscious in this movie. I think it's really cool. So yeah, big fan.
One of my favorites I was going to say is how she just fucks off to the country.
Yeah,
as one does in a
standard Giallo side quest.
Exactly.
So, Caitlin, what's your relationship with this movie?
I definitely saw this on Shudder's main screen in 2018 and went, boop, this is for me. And I think I immediately called one of my friends. I was like, French, giallo, gay, let's go. And it's kind of become like an annual Pride watch for me.
Ooh, excellent.
I, as Kate said, also love giallos. And this was really coming up in a time for me when I think I had just watched Deep Red for the first time as well. And just head first into all of this. So it really not only is it just like something that I enjoy watching once a year at least, it is something that it also kind of opened up the world of giallos to me, and so I really started to get very into them after watching this film.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely watched this on Shudder a few years back. I think my first time logging it was in 2019 or 2020. And I hadn't really watched a lot of gialli at that point. I had seen Suspiria, which, you know, some people do, some people don't consider it a giallo. I had seen Barbarian Sound Studio, which at the time I didn't like because, again, I hadn't really watched a lot of these types of films. So this was my most impactful entry point into the genre. And I loved it because it's modern, but it takes place in the late 70s, and it feels like a 70s film. And it's so beautiful, it's so striking, and it's so deeply emotional in a way that not a lot of gialli are. And I think a big part of that is how queer this film is. And I've watched it a bunch of times since my first time. I got to see it in the theater at the Alamo Draft House a couple weeks ago.
So
and
jealous.
Then yesterday when I watched it for the pod, I watched my Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, which looks and sounds amazing.
Also
it was
jealous.
fantastic to hear that 5.1 mix at home. I love this movie. And we're going to talk more about it in our next section, Faith and Chance.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself. Because I'm the maker of my own evil. Goodness is only some kind of reflection upon evil. That's all it is.
All right, Caitlin, take it away.
Well, we're going to talk about a lot of porn because, surprise! So for this, I'm going to be pulling a lot from Anxiety and Desire in France's gay porn film boom, 1974 to 1983, and I did not put down who wrote this. I left that blank. It's Daniel something. Look it up. And also, there is a documentary that I could not find anywhere, but I was able to watch the trailer for it.
Cool.
There's like a little bit about it online. If anyone knows how to watch this movie, please let me know, because it's called Mondo Homo, Inquiry into 70s Gay French Porn. Which, there it is.
That sounds delightful.
The only place I saw that might have it did not look legitimate at all, so don't click on that.
Hey, I mean, sometimes they put stuff like that on actual porn sites, so you might be able to look there.
You know, I may have, which I will get into in a moment, for a very fun movie that I did not have fun with in the slightest. So, what we're looking at is a gigantic porn boom in the 70s, really from 1973 to 1983. The last one is because home video, just like the end of Boogie Nights, came in and ruined the porn theater industry.
Of course.
That was me, just RIP porn theater industry.
Fuck you, Marky Mark.
Exactly. I blame that man for many things. So many things. So what we're looking at here is really three major film companies. So Les Films de La Troika, Les Films de Vertebois, and AMT Productions. And AMT Productions was known for a lot of, like, I guess, shorter films, and that was Anne-Marie Tenzi, who Anne is based off of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And she, like, directed / produced, like, hundreds of these gay porns that you really can't find now because they were all, in this period, they were all shot on 16 or 32 millimeter film. So a lot of them were not preserved.
I didn't even know 32 millimeter was a thing.
I read that somewhere, so if that's incorrect and that never was a thing, I blame the internet. I feel like you're looking it up right now. Is 32 millimeter a thing?
I am looking it up, and apparently it is a thing, and you can even do stuff with it still because of the lomography company.
Oh.
Huh. Oh, yeah. Okay, so 32 millimeter film was a common format in old style movie cameras.
Interesting.
And smaller ones, like handheld ones. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep, for porn.
Cool.
You really want to get in there.
Yeah.
She also, her director was also Lois.
Oh.
And I had a bit of an issue because many of these articles were in French and then translated.
Got it.
So I was having a hard time figuring out if Anne was the one who was seeing Lois and had a relationship to alcohol that may not have been the healthiest, or if it was this guy who directed this porn, which you can find on vintage porn sites, called Malfeces Pornos. Malfeces. I don't think that's how you pronounce that. Malefices. Malfeces. Malefices Pornos. I'm sure. And it is a horror movie. It is not... It starts out sexy, and then this guy... Let's run through this as fast as I possibly can. I think he has a threesome with this other woman and his wife, and then they're going to sleep. Oh, right, because he can't get it up. And he starts having this dream of, like, torturing these two women with his wife. And, I mean, these women are shrieking in terror. Shrieking. Like, it is horrifying to listen to. I'm like, this is not sexy. This is not sexy in the slightest. Like, terror. Chained up, whipped. They chain up a large black man in a cave.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, it is pretty racist. He says nothing. He just kind of grunts the whole time while trying to, like, grab on to these white women in this porno. And
oh boy.
Yeah, it's and I was a little confused, but then I didn't want to go back and watch. At one point, I think they also, like, rip open his testicle sack and, like, put her hand in it and, like, oh, it is what a time. And once the guy wakes up, he puts his wife in an acid bath and she disintegrates.
Wow, that sounds really fucking intense.
With a lot of hardcore sex.
Yeah, okay, so that's a proper horror porn.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I was not entirely turned on. It was the shrieking, really. The shrieking and terror was like, oh, that really put me in a bad mood.
Okay, so besides this being a modern giallo that's set in the late 70s, as I mentioned, there's a bunch of other stuff going on that informs the cultural context of this movie. So tell me about some of that.
Yes, so we're looking at the early 70s. There's probably about, like, 22 porns a year that were, I'm just going to call them porns a year that were being put out in France. And then by 1978, they were hundreds. And this had to do with President Giscard, who was name-checked, I believe, during Thierry's threesome where he couldn't get it up, and Archie says, "We want you as hard as Giscard," because he was also known for probably having many, many affairs. What his whole thing was, he wanted to bring about, quote, an advanced liberal society and a relaxation
This is the future liberal SWAT.
Right? Yes! Like, basically, we're going to give you abortion.
I wish.
Right. Abortion, no-fault divorce. There was an abandonment of the political censorship in cinema. And this becomes huge, with Michael Guy being installed as the Minister of Culture and, quote, this is from Michael Guy, "All films must be released without exception. I don't acknowledge the right to forbid adult viewers the possibility to see the films they desire." Period.
Would you look at that? Autonomy for people and what they choose to engage with.
Wow.
You hear that? Fucking Stripe payment processing trying to restrict creators?
Fuck yes, Michel Guy.
Right?
And it is so interesting when I was reading through particularly the Anxiety and Desire in France's gay porn film boom, because the author really argues that the politics that were inherent in the liberation movements are seen in this pornography, and that just by virtue of it existing and showing homosexuality on screen, that is a political act.
I always say that simply existing in the world as a queer person is a political act. And that's why we're all so fucking exhausted all the time.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Particularly now. We had a brief reprieve there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice for like a little bit.
I will say that in this article as well, a psychoanalysis, Felix Guattari, saw the erotic film as a minor art, which would be an art that can be used in the service of people who constitute a minority, with a major art as an art in service of power. And this is a direct quote as well. "There is not, on one hand, political cinema, and on the other, erotic cinema. Cinema is political, whatever the subject. Every time it represents a man, a woman, a child, or an animal, it takes sides in the micro-struggle of class that concerns the reproduction of models of desire." And also, these pornographic films legally depicting sex on film for the first time have much to tell us about the precarious moment in France's social history. I'm going to take that back, roll it back, because this was not Felix Guattari, so I will start. That cinema is political. It doesn't matter. As you said, May, it's like just by virtue of having a body that is, and being a person who is rejected by the dominant culture, is a political act every time you walk outside.
Correct.
And I will say in this article, there was a lot also about capitalism, consumerism, and this is directly from the article, "These pornographic films legally depicting sex on film for the first time have much to tell us about the precarious moment in France's social history, about anxieties over sexual liberation, commercialization, the influence of America." This came up a lot, that kind of a lot of these ideas of homosexuality and what it should look like on film are coming from the United States. And racial and sexual difference. "The production, consumption, and content of gay pornography illustrates the entanglements of commerce, sex, and politics during the sexual liberation of the 70s. So we are coming into France, just a huge liberalization. And they ran with it. They're like, we are going to make so much porn, you all won't know what to do with yourselves.
Well, and it's so fascinating because you have all of this freedom popping up in France and becoming more expansive at the same time that Spain is becoming more and more fascist.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that when we eventually cover some Jess Franco movies, which, don't worry, Kate, we'll have you on for those.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, of course. I know you love Jess Franco, and I know you're in a big Franco phase right now. So
I am.
Yeah, it's always fascinating how political and geographical divisions can have such an impact on the culture at large in a place. Because France and Spain are pretty close together, correct?
Yes, they're right
I'm
next
on
to
record
each
as
other.
being very bad at geography. So you have these two countries next to each other that are going in essentially polar opposite directions in terms of the culture at large, but also the art that is being created by those cultures, and whether or not it's being regulated or stifled as opposed to being encouraged and free to roam out in the world, as art should be, as long as it's not made by people who are using it to hurt people. So I find all of that very fascinating. So thank you for that deep dive research, Caitlin.
Yes.
My contribution to this section is it's got an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 83 reviews. It's got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which evens out to a 7 out of 10. What do y'all think about that? Do those numbers make sense?
I would like them to be a little higher, please.
Yeah. What about you, Kate?
I think I gave it a 4 on Letterboxd.
Oh,
But yeah, a
interesting.
little bit higher. I would say I'm a toughie on the Letterboxd.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I really, really liked this movie a lot. So I don't really have a ton of criticism. It's more just like very few movies get like a 4.5 or a 5.
Yeah. And anything you wanted to add about the political or socio-political implications of all of this?
That was a really exciting dive into porn at this time.
Yeah.
I think it's also, there's a lot of film in the 70s. I guess a lot of film looking back to the 70s that's sort of like, it's really hard now for us not to imagine the specter of AIDS, like sort of hanging over movies like this, you know, particularly because this is like, it's a queer film. It's a queer film with a queer gaze. It isn't like a queer film with a straight gaze.
Correct. And I think that makes a huge difference.
Huge, yeah.
Huge
but yeah,
difference.
Huge.
I
yes,
did not
I
mean
think
to do that,
there,
God damn it.
I think there is like any film where there's sort of like queer murder in the 70s, like, you know, Cruising.
Yeah, this definitely would make a good double feature with Cruising.
It would. Yeah, like it's hard not to think about what follows this and also the like huge conservative backlash, particularly in the United States. That follows like the sort of excitement and fun of the 70s.
Yeah. That economy started to, the gas crisis started to happen, and it was all disco before that.
It's the 80s. Vote, do lots of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan. Sorry, that's a riff from Hobgoblins on Mystery Science Theater.
Oh yes, and I think that was what a lot of people were doing in the 80s, unfortunately.
Well, speaking of Ronald Reagan, let's make that money. Just kidding. Trickle-down economics doesn't fucking exist, you asshole.
It doesn't.
And now we're going to dig into the meat, the goo, and the viscera in a section we call Enough is a Myth.
No. I've done enough. Enough
Okay, I've got some questions that I want to ask y'all. And we'll do Kate and then Caitlin, and then I'll answer so that I don't have to call on y'all every time. The bird plays a very important role in observing the crimes and seemingly transmitting the dreams to Anne. In some cultures, including in this story, birds are believed to carry the souls of the dead from this world to the afterlife. What do you believe the bird represents, and is it a force of good or evil within the context of this story?
I don't think it's necessarily good or evil, but I do think that birds are often read as, and portrayed as messengers. I think there's something about the way birds get to exist above us and sort of like suddenly land. They can be like voyeurs. They get to see a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if a bird has some sort of magic quality to it, it has the ability to sort of like tell stories and relay messages. And like in fairy tales, they often kind of like, I guess, goad a person into doing something, but I don't necessarily think it's good or evil. I think it's just sort of part of the life of a bird in like a mythical story.
I love that. And I'm so glad I put this question in here because you are a bird enthusiast.
I am.
And do you know anything about grackles?
I don't know if these are funny to anyone else, but like jokes about grackles is like if you see a grackle, there's like 50 of them. Like they're kind of I like to think they're sort of a party bird.
So that makes it extra fascinating that this one is flying around on its own.
Yeah. It's very different from like the way I think of grackles. I think it's funny because you would assume as an American, I don't know if this is different just because it's European, but like crows and ravens are usually like the blackbird that would be the messenger, because corvids are, they're smart, they're good at mimicking. So usually grackles don't get this job, but I guess there is a special mythical shalad grackle.
Oh, there it is. That's how you pronounce that fucking word. Thank you.
I don't speak enough Spanish to speak French.
Ah.
Well, Caitlin, what do you think about the bird?
I also thought like chaotic neutral because of the corvids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not look up what a grackle was. And I think
not
I
a
missed that it's a
corvid.
grackle
It's a
every
blackbird,
single
but-
time. Not a corvid.
Yeah.
But also that, again, messengers, prophetic, not corvid. But with corvids, particularly with the grackle being blind, it made me think a bit of like Odin.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, you mean Kate's cat?
What was he doing in Shalad?
you good, Mungan? He was walking
Drinking
around.
whiskey with Kathy.
I love that witch's house. That is the only reason I would like live in the woods, is so I could live in that witch's house. Love stone. Sorry. Anyway. But yes, the prophecy and the idea of birds kind of being that link between the dream world and our reality.
Yeah, I love that this bird is part of the movie, and it doesn't really get explained. It simply leads Anne to answers that she's looking for. We don't know if it's directly connected to Guy. We don't know if it's directly connected to Anne. I see it as kind of a bridge between them. And I like that you use the word prophetic, because it feels like there's a certain sense of fate happening here, that Anne is so connected to this situation despite having nothing to do with it, and she ultimately leads to Guy's downfall in the theater. And I think that goes with what you're both saying about the bird is not good or evil. It is simply a force of nature that is acting as a conduit. And I kind of love that. I love that you don't have to be prescriptive about it. You don't have to be like, oh, well, this bird's doing this good thing or this bad thing. It just is doing its thing.
And it's
that
not
was
a parrot.
not very eloquent, but I hope I got my point across.
Yes. Oh, definitely. I thought it was quite eloquent, May.
Thank you. Okay. So
I'm over here talking about parrots being jerk off still, so.
See our episode from a couple weeks ago on Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Okay, so the killer is a despondent gay man whose father literally emasculates him. And I looked this up because castration is simply the removal of the testicles.
Yes.
If you remove the testicles and the penis, that is called emasculation. So it's not the metaphorical emasculation that is commonplace in our lexicon. Emasculation literally means you're cutting off everything down there.
Interesting. Wow. I didn't know that.
His father emasculates him, sets fire to the barn, killing Hisham and disfiguring Guy. He then murders all of the actors involved in the film Anne made based on her dreams of that crime. He's eventually stopped by the patrons of a gay porn theater, those who should be his community. So I think I know what all of our answers are going to be to this question, and I'm still going to ask it because I think it's important. Does this come off as a queer monster film, or is it far more complex because there are so many queer characters, because it's a queer film made through a queer lens with a lot of queer people involved? And Guy's father is responsible for destroying his life. He killed his lover, emasculated and disfigured his son, and then died a few days later, leaving his wife to go insane and Guy to wander off and do who knows what for 15 years until he starts killing people. It's very sad, but what do you think, Kate?
I think Guy's father is the monster, obviously. And I think, like you said, the fact that he's stopped by the patrons in a theater who should be his community, they're like taking us. I loved that scene so much because they're like, a porn theater is like a place where people are normally hiding and like not showing their face, and like, you know, the lights never come on, and like they all just like throw that down to be like, there's a guy who's killing people in our community and like we're gonna get him. And yeah, I think because it is such a beautifully rendered queer film, and there isn't any of the like cautionary tale of joining, you know, of becoming a porn star. Like Nance like is having a pretty good time.
Oh, yeah. And especially because when Anne meets him, he's like, I'm not a fairy. And she's like, too bad. You could be missing out on some great pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he gets so invested in both the filmmaking process, his role, as well as seeing the exhibition of the film. He's so proud that he's a part of it. And he seems to really admire the craft that went into it. And that's so fun. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really think that like this movie makes being queer look extremely fun and extremely hot. Everybody is so hot. Everybody looks amazing. The dance clubs, holy shit.
I want to go there so bad.
I know. I really want to go to that. Like, it's like mostly lesbian dance club.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everyone in there looks incredible. I want Lois's belt buckle. I know this is me going off topic, but I want it so bad. The hand holding belt buckle.
It's pretty fucking great. Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is like a queer, not hero film, but like just queers being awesome. And having a wonderful time and like reveling in their community together.
Yeah, and we also have a very complicated protagonist in Anne. She's got a drinking problem. She sexually assaults her ex that she's still desperately in love with. And, like, we still feel sympathy for her. We still are on this journey with her. So it's not just... It's a very realistic portrayal of queer life in that there are all different shades of people here, all different shades of morality. And it's not just cut and dry good and evil. And I think that ties back to the previous question about the bird. Because queer people can be anything. Hopefully most of us choose to be good when we can and evil when it's fun.
And not mean, not legitimately evil.
Well, what do you think, Caitlin?
I agree that this is not a gay monster film or a queer monster film, as so many of the movies in the 70s were, because he was not born a monster.
Right.
He was created by the horrifying, like, violent rejection of his father.
Yep.
He was born queer. He was born gay. But he was not born a monster. And
it's one of those situations where, once again, toxic masculinity, the patriarchy, is the actual villain.
Like, you could have had just a regular relationship with your son. You would have had fun living out in and but instead you decided
Now is the time on Sprockets when we laugh.
And whatever I was going to say moving forward, which was going to be really, really smart and funny, I promise you. And all the queer patrons rising up against Guy, again, it is the community taking care of itself. I mean, like, even though you could be part of this community, you are a threat to this community.
Exactly.
It also reminded me of the scene in Cecil B. Demented when when they're in the porn theater, and Cherish runs up and is like, "Fellow perverts, it's me, Cherish, we need your help." And they all kind of start going towards the normies. This is what the scene also reminds me of every single time I see it, even though it's very, very different.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very tragic moment because it's this man who is made into a monster, who is being stopped by his peers because he has been destroying them because he doesn't know what else to do. And I don't know, there's something so beautiful about the tragedy in this in a way that you don't get in a lot of queer films. Like, yes, it's sad, and it's very poetic.
Yes, absolutely. So sad. Oh, Guy.
And needless to say, I agree with both of you. I think you both brought some beautiful things in there. So I'm going to move on to our third question. And this is my fun question. The film revolves around the world of gay porn, both in its production and its exhibition. Have either of you ever visited a porn theater?
Waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka
chicka. I haven't. No.
Okay.
Now, and I feel silly about it. I feel like I should. But I would like to go back in time to go to a porn theater in Manhattan in, like, 1977.
Oh, my God. Seriously.
Yeah. That would be pretty fucking cool. As long as you don't run into Travis Bickle.
No.
That guy.
I guess if you ran into Sybil Shepherd, it would be great.
Yeah. I'll wear a really big hat. Yeah.
Ooh. No, there you go.
Nice.
No one can't see
dark
me.
Glasses like Anne.
I've never been to an actual porn theater, although there is one in the Chicago suburbs that I know about. I have, however, been into porn video booths, the ones that have glory holes between them.
Oh.
When I was 18, I used to drive up to the Wisconsin border, and just before it, there was a giant adult bookstore, and I would pull into the parking lot and turn around and head back home before I turned 18. But once I turned 18, I actually went in a few times, and one of the times I was there, I went into one of the video booths, and I put a little money in, and I'm sitting there watching porn, kind of excited about what's happening. And then I see a $20 bill slide through the glory hole to my right.
What?
And a man's mouth appears there and just goes, suck. And I got the fuck out of there. Now, these days, would I take advantage of, well, not take advantage, would I buy into that situation? Honestly, maybe. I would put a condom on his dick because, like, I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
But at the time, it was terrifying to me because I was still, quote unquote, a virgin, technically. And I didn't know what etiquette was. And I was just like, it kind of freaked me out. But not in a way that I was like, I don't want to suck a dick. It was just like, I don't want to suck a stranger's dick through a hole in a video booth.
I guess.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But now I would totally do it. So
I have to edit my response. I have not been in a porn theater. However, one of the kink spaces in Philly does events called, it's like something like porn drive-in.
Ooh.
And you can like bring a blanket and toys or whatever, and they play like a variety of porn, and you can just hang out and watch.
That's fun.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. And the funniest thing when I was there is they had a couple of like those big like portable battery things like plugged in all over the place. And I was like, what the fuck are those for? And it was like people plugging in their Hitachis.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Checks out. And I didn't actually get to answer that question.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no,
I'm a piece of shit.
You used to be a piece of shit.
We'll do that later. We'll get into that later.
I said was.
I have never been to a theater that was constructed to show only porn, is how I'm going to word this. We do have one in Seattle, and it's been there forever. And it's great because it's like right on the edge of downtown and where like the Amazon headquarters are. It's just this seedy little porn theater. I think it's a Little Darlings, and there's a sex shop downstairs, and then upstairs I heard there's a porn theater, and it's right there, and the Amazon people have to walk by it every day. It's great. But I've never been in. I have in Seattle, Dan Savage, however you feel about him, started a porn festival called Hump, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about. So have gone to Hump a few times. So I've been in a theater watching porn, but not a porn, not one where anyone was touching themselves, or was receiving some pleasure from themselves or somewhere else. But also I was in a kink space as well that had like TVs, and it was set up as a movie night, and it was spy themed. And I walk in, I'm like, oh, you're playing like that Matthew Vaughn movie with Taron Egerton. And then we had to vote for the next movie, which was either going to be Skyfall, Austin Powers, or something else. So they weren't showing porn, but it was a theater in a kink space where people could play.
Interesting. Also, if I had to choose between those three as a follow-up to, what's it called? The Kingsman?
Yes.
I would absolutely choose Austin Powers because it's fun and it's funny, and it's more enjoyable to have sex to something like that than something serious.
Absolutely. And that is what I voted for. And I think it won by like 2 votes. So voting matters. No matter what it's for.
All right. Well, speaking of voting, let's decide how to categorize the movie in Let's Play a Game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Now, before we actually categorize the film, Kate, you wanted to talk about the film within the film, or the films within the film, and how the imitation flows back and forth between the two.
I did. I think it's so like, cinema loves to make movies about cinema, and I think often they're trying to sort of like sanctify cinema, because I mean, it makes sense. You're a director, you're in Hollywood, you're making a movie about how incredible Hollywood is and what a sort of mythical place it is. So it's really interesting when films are about film that are, number one, it's not Hollywood, it's porn, it's set in Paris, it's queer, it's not like, studio systems, whatever. And I think, like, we talked about, this is like a complicated movie. It neither mythologizes the porn industry nor like makes it a cautionary tale about being part of the porn industry. I think it does a lot of interesting depictions of like actual work that people have to do, like the very funny but very real character, Mouth of Gold.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up because he's a delightful character. And he's like, oh, I don't need to get paid for this. I live with my mom. I just love sucking dick.
Yeah.
And that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Like, what a life.
Right? And, like, it's also something that is in porn, Like, there are people who keep people hard. Yeah. And, like, porn can sometimes be long and grueling in ways that are not sexy at all. And there's lots of people watching. And I think the other part about this film that is really cool is, like, it's about physical media. So, like, at this point, everything that's filmed is on film. Mm-hmm. And there's an actual editor who's doing, like, cutting and splicing and all that stuff. And it's also a horror movie. And someone else is cutting and splicing and like making decisions about what gets to live and not live. And that's also like, I think, a big sort of like Giallo nod too, that there's a lot of like Giallos about film and modeling and theater and art.
Yeah, they were kind of the original metatextual film.
Yes. And like the way that this film plays around with like how Giallo is both gorgeous and sometimes formulaic and like a little silly, paints with a broad brush, but can also be sort of transcendent. And like Giallo was able to like sort of talk about a lot of like transgressive things like kink and queerness, and they got away with a lot. And like it's so cool. Like, I just love how many levels this movie is like playing with. And like, there's a scene where you see the murder, where Lois realizes that the murderer was caught on film.
Oh, that scene.
That is an excellent, excellent scene. I love it so much. And I just think like the sort of surrealness, Anne is getting her ideas from dreams, and maybe they're from Guy, maybe they're from the birds. Like, then she makes a film that kind of plays on like what happened to her in real life, and he sees it and is like, that's actually what happened to me. Like, there's so much cool playing around of like shifting in and out of film and reality that I love so much.
I'm so glad you brought that reading in because it's something that I think I was vaguely aware of, but I hadn't really tapped into. And now I already want to watch the film again through that lens. No pun intended.
Yay!
Okay, so this is obviously a very queer film. There's a little bit of kinky stuff in it. Would you call it a pleaser or a punisher? Caitlin, I'll start with you.
Great question. I think there's a lot of very pleasing elements to this. And then we have Anne, who is so complicated. And like you said, there are elements of her personality or actions that she takes that make me deeply uncomfortable. However, I do feel like the majority of the movie is such an expression of queer joy and life that ultimately I would qualify it as a pleaser, even though she does go fuck off to the woods for no reason, seemingly for a while. I like it.
Kate, what about you?
Thank you, Caitlin, actually, for bringing up and I know you talked about it before, but like, you know, just how complicated Anne is and often doing something really bad. And the scene where she assaults Lois is like absolutely unforgivable. And I think it's like one of those things that people gloss over a little bit because it's two women, but it is not okay and not romantic.
No, that is still a
full-on
rape
assault.
scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I do think ultimately the film is a major pleaser. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, really interesting. Everybody is beautiful. The fashion is incredible. The music rules.
Oh my God, her trench coat.
Yeah,
on her
the
and
leather
Archie.
trench coat. I actually
anytime Archie is dressed as her for the film, I'm just like, oh, I'm in love with you.
Yeah, Archie is such a funny character. I love him.
Yeah, he's like, I do anything for my best bitch, and I'm also going to hold her accountable for her shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that overall this is a pleaser. Despite its tragic undertones and despite the overall sad ending, it's still such a joy to watch, and it's such a joy to experience the range of emotions that it puts you through, particularly if you are a queer person, because it really taps into something that not a lot of films do. Even a lot of queer films don't hit quite like this for me. And this has been a 5-star movie for me for a while. The first time I watched it, I think it was 4. And after rewatching it yesterday, I finally put it in my top 4 on Letterboxd. Like that's how much I love it. That's how important it is to me. I recently finally got the soundtrack on vinyl, which has the full score, and it also has the few regular songs that they use in the movie. Plus, the porn music, Yann Gonzales actually did that. That's not like stock music from 70s porn. He did that, and that makes me so wonderfully happy. Okay, do y'all have any final thoughts?
Yes. I do.
Please share them with us.
I find it really interesting that Anne casts herself as the villain in Homicidal, particularly as the movie frames her like looking through the peephole at Lois, which would typically be a killer move. Again, the sexual assault, rape that she commits on her ex-girlfriend because she cannot let her go. And it's as Kate, you were also talking about, it's that she sees herself as the villain in the story, which is such, I feel like we don't get that a lot with main characters, that they see themselves as the villain. She knows she's fucking up really badly, but doesn't seem to be able to she can't pull herself out of it and just continues to spiral in certain ways. And I just thought that was, again, something that I don't particularly see a lot. Usually your protagonist thinks they're the hero of their own story.
So do you think, this is a bonus question, this is off the cuff, do you think that her helping bring the killer to justice essentially redeems her? Or do you think she's still kind of in the middle? She's not a hero, she's not a villain, she's just a very imperfect woman trying to figure shit out.
That one, yes. That's how I see it. Like there's a part of her that knows what she wants. She's directing these porn movies. She's living this great queer life. And then there's this other part that is drenched in, the addiction, the emotional instability, I suppose. And so she's just very, very imperfect. And her, again, cast as imperfect, and her casting herself as the villain speaks to me of someone she knows she is doing something that she shouldn't be doing, but just can't seem to stop herself. In many situations, again, it's indefensible. I'm not saying that I approve of any of that. And we're all pretty imperfect people. So it is something that I can also, even though I have not sexually assaulted anyone, put that out there very clearly. I know it's so hard to not do.
Right? It's amazing that so many people do it because the temptation is so... Ugh.
Anyway, so there's two other things I wanted to mention, though, very quickly, is that in 1979, 200 francs, which is what Anne is going to give the dolls per scene or per day, I believe, that would have been $47 USD, which I feel pretty good for a blowjob, but not for a whole day's worth of work. No. And for the time. I'm also saying, because if you take that $47 and put it into today with inflation, it is $209.14. Wages have not kept up with inflation. Good for her.
Yeah.
That is a good price for a blowjob. Like $209.14. Get it. And then, and one other thing that I forgot to mention in the rundown of the porn industry is that in the trailer for Mondo Homo, you see someone in a black mask with a curly mop of hair on top.
Oh, so that must have been part of the inspiration for the mask design.
The mask was really cool.
Oh, it's so disturbing.
Yeah.
The way he's able to contort his face in it,
I know.
And the noises that he makes they're so inhuman.
Yeah. I wanted to mention one other thing. I rewatched this again a couple days ago, and my partner suggested that we watch a little short after this called Blank Narcissus. And it's on Mubi. It's a short by Peter Strickland, of the aforementioned director of Barbarian Sound System. He also is a big Neo Giallo kind of fan. But he made I think it's about 8 minutes. It's just a little short film that's like a director narrating a story about his past lover, who he also made porn videos with. And the visuals are sort of an imagining of that lover in one of the videos. It is full frontal nudity, super hot and beautiful, really interesting, and like really cool conversation, I think.
I need to watch that.
Yeah, it's great.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, it's really good.
I might have to borrow your Mubi log.
Sure, you can do that.
Okay, we're going to figure that out. But before we do, let's wrap up with what awaits us next time.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police. Not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
So that brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey, fellow travelers. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review wherever you can, because it helps more people find the show and makes us all tingly inside. You can find us on Instagram at Pleasers and Punishers, and on Blue Sky at Pleasers Punishers. You can also email us at pleaserspunisherspodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Everson Poe. You can find my music on Bandcamp and streaming services as Everson Poe. And reminder, I have a new album coming out September 21st, inspired by Hellraiser 2022. Vinyl pre-orders will be up as soon as I have a test pressing in hand to confirm that it sounds good. And you can also hear me on Tender Subject and Slayerfest 98. Caitlin, where can you be found on the internet?
I can be found at Caitlin of the North on Blue Sky and Instagram, and then Cat on the North of Letterboxd, which I have to get better at, but my cat's been sick, so I haven't got
poor
to
Edie.
go run around outside with the other feral children for a while. I also just recently recorded a few episodes for People Under the Scares, their Patreon Buffy watch-along called Fuck My Hellmouth. They have...
What?
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Our cameras are off right now, so y'all did not see that I just did a little bit of a spit take and got water up into my nose.
Excellent. They nailed it with the name. Just
fucking incredible.
I believe they have a 7-day free trial too, so you can go and if you don't like it, you don't have to pay them, but you should pay them.
All right. Well, Kate, thank you so much for joining us again. We love having you on. I love what you bring to our discussions, and you're just so fun to podcast with. So where can people find you online and the other cool shit that you do?
Well, first of all, thank you. I had so much fun, as always. So I have 2 podcasts. The first one is Tender Subject, which is a body horror and cannibalism podcast. We talk about books and art and film, and May is one of the co-hosts. And
It's true.
Yeah, and someone on a Discord said that we have been on fire lately, so get in there. Join us.
That makes me feel very happy.
Yeah, join us while we're on fire. And then my other podcast is called Fangs for the Memories, which is a Buffy podcast. We're in season 7 right now, almost done. May was just on a recent episode. And yeah, you can find Fangs for the Memories and Tender Subject on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter. Just search it.
It's fangs.zone.
Thank you. Fangs.zone for Fangs for the Memories. I should do something like that for Tender Subject. It would be smart of me. But beyond that, I've been making a bunch of art again. I just started a new collage series. Art is my main gig. So my art website is Kayte, Kayte, Terry, T as in Tom, ERRY.com. You can see all the things that I've been working on.
Awesome. Well, sorry, my brain just died.
Just heard it crash.
So next week's episode is going to be on The Untamed, a 2016 film from Mexico. And this was a Caitlin pick, and I was really, really nervous about it. But I watched it, I wrote up my synopsis.
Yes.
And I ended up enjoying it more than I thought I would.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about it.
Me too. But until then, listeners, do some aftercare, clean your toys, set healthy boundaries, and
don't talk to grackles in the woods because they are all homophobic.
I know it's better to go